What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Christina Shivers, T-shirts, want to call me, and today I'm here with episode 2 of the How to Pray podcast. Here on the How to Pray podcast, we talk about ways of overcoming pain, the obstacles of recovery, accepting our past, and yielding to our new life. Again, I'm your host, Christina Shivers, and I am here today to talk to you about if it hinders you, it is time for you to let it go and the process in which you can do so. I want to first say thank you so much for listening to my first episode and giving me such great feedback from that episode. It means the world that I have support from people like all around. I really appreciate it immensely. Today, we're going to be talking about toxicity and how to cut that out of your day-to-day routine so that way you can be a better you. So without further ado, let's get it started.
Let's go out and get it now. So nervous, deep inside, so worth it. Don't give up this time. Don't back down. Don't be afraid, and tell your heart to take a leap of faith and start today.
Alright, y'all, so today we're talking about cutting off anything that's toxic. That can be friends, significant others, or even family. Today we're going to be focusing on if it hinders you, it isn't for you, it's time to cut it off. So what that means is that while you're saying I love you to this person, or while you're giving your time, your energy, everything that you have to this person, they're not reciprocating that back to you. Now, this isn't a immediate dismissal. Cutting something or someone off is a process. In fact, 9 times out of 10, you might not even have to cut somebody off if you follow every step of this process. Let's just get into talking about what the steps are. So the first step is acknowledging what makes you feel a certain way. Why do you feel mistreated, misused? So you analyze that, you take a moment and you think about it, and is there a way that you can save this relationship or habit or whatever it is to you? Is there a way that you can save that without having to cut it off? Well, there is. Unfortunately, most people don't feel the need to take this step. In fact, people just go straight into just cutting someone off and not necessarily giving them the chance to change, trusting yourself that maybe, just maybe, it's not always just about them, but also about you. And they have to know that. See, the thing is, part of any relationship, right? Both parties have to know. They have to be well aware of whatever is going on at any moment during their relationship. So, while you're analyzing, figuring out the things that make you feel uncomfortable or mistreated or misused, also think about things that you can do to improve as well before they tell you. Because the next part of the process is to have that uncomfortable conversation. So now that you have your little list of things and antics and behaviors and mechanisms that don't really follow suit with what you believe or that make you feel comfortable, now you take that and you convey that information to the party. I speak from personal experience because I had these 2 friends that I went to college with, and I had to have that uncomfortable conversation with them. So I had a whole list that was categorized about the things that they normally do that would draw attention to me, and I did not appreciate it simply because I was very introverted at the time, and any kind of attention, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, it just did not make me comfortable. So I had to relay that information before it got too out of hand, because I felt myself getting frustrated, angry, and confused most of the time, because I'm like, I love these people, I love hanging out with them, but at the same time I don't love what at the end of the day what it would cost me, and that is the fact that I was just getting attention. But I made a list, I sat them down, they agreed to talk to me, and we just kind of went over the list that I had. And part of the list was just telling them, I do not like when you guys do this, and it brings this kind of attention towards me as well. So I said my piece. They were grateful for it. They said, thank you for letting me know. I was unaware that this was happening. And that's the thing, guys. More times than not, the other party is unaware that their behaviors, that their antics are hindering you as well. So we can't always point the finger or put blame on somebody because they should automatically know how that makes you feel without you telling them how that makes you feel. You see where the confusion lies? Right. So It's very important for you guys to have these uncomfortable conversations, whether that be with your friends, significant other, or your family. Now, family is a completely different topic that I will not digest today, but I definitely will go into detail with later at a later time. But right now, we're just going to give you like the overview. So you have your list, you sit the person or people down, and you have that conversation. And you just read from your list. Now, if you're like me, and the reason why I say having a list is handy is because I'm a people pleaser, right? So I like to speak and act in a way that will please the crowd or the audience. So if I'm talking to somebody without a list in front of me, I'm looking at them, I'm looking at their body language and reading their faces, and I'm like, oh, they probably won't like it if I say this. So let me try to manipulate my words into manipulating them into getting the response that I want them to have, because I am afraid that they're not going to take it the right way. But that's the reason why these conversations are uncomfortable. You don't know what the end result's going to be. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to have anxiety behind it. But once you get through it and once you see the end result, it's going to be well worth any pain, frustration, worry that it may have brought originally. So, we have our list, we're sitting our people down, and we're reading off the list. I don't appreciate when this happens, when you respond in this way, when you talk to me like this. The list can be whatever it is, because everyone's different. Every individual is subjective. So what could hurt your feelings might not hurt your party's feelings. But it's all up to you about how clear and concise your list is, where there is no confusion about what it is you're trying to relay. Hence why I'm so big on having lists in front of me, because like I said before, I'll try to manipulate the situation to where I say what would get the response that I'm hoping for, as opposed to saying the truth. And I'll admit it, I'm the first one to admit it, because I have that people pleasing inside of me where it's like I don't want them to feel bad about themselves. But why is it fair for them to be happy when you're not, for them to be comfortable when you're not? That's not fair whatsoever. Part of a relationship, everything is 50-50, 50% you and 50% them. You should not be giving 95% and they give 5%, or you should not be giving 100% and they give nothing. 50-50. And then this is where the topic of today goes in, right? So before I get ahead of myself, let's go back to the process, right? So we have our list, we're talking to them. Now the response. You have to be prepared for any response. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Like I said, I was blessed enough to have a nice response where they were grateful and appreciative of me for talking to them about this, as opposed to letting it get worse. So, yeah, but not every encounter is going to come out the way you want it. And so I just want you to be prepared for that. I want you to be susceptible to the fact that maybe someone doesn't like to hear about themselves. So, you have your list, you're having that uncomfortable conversation. They give you your response, whether it's good or bad. But make sure, either before they give you the response or after they give you the response, you open the door for your improvement as well. We cannot just go to somebody, tell them that you don't like when they do this, that, and the other, and not expect any kind of feedback for ourselves. Because maybe we're doing something that they don't appreciate, but they are too afraid to bring it to your knowledge, or they don't feel that it's necessary to talk about. But what kind of relationship is it if there's no open line of communication? Let that simmer for a moment. So you open the floor and you say, is there anything that I need to do, anything that I need to fix as well, so that way we can make this relationship smoother, so we can make it better? Is there anything that I need to work on? And all you ask for is honesty, openness, right? Because you were afraid to say your list, but you set your list. They're probably going to be afraid to say their list, but they'll have one. And if they don't have one at the time, what I did was, well, I want you guys to know that at any point, if there's something that I do say or the way that I act and it makes you uncomfortable, please let me know. I don't like to assume anything, so I won't know until you tell me. So, to recap the process, resolving conflict with people. You make your list, you have that conversation, you open the line of communication for them to give you feedback as well, and then you wait for the response. That's how you should go. But that is the 4-step process that I use to this day. And then the most important thing is give them time to change. We expect that everything should go our way no matter what. And this is why we're in the same issues that we are in now, right? It's just like this. It's like saying to my dad, I don't like the car you're driving, get another car, and then expecting me to wake up tomorrow to a brand new car. No, I need to give my father time to save up money, give him time to adapt to any environmental change, and then give him time to get that new vehicle if it's right for him. And that's where it gets tricky, because maybe, right? So we were talking about the good response and the bad response. So let's go to the bad response, or what we would deem as the bad response, the response that we are not expecting to get, but we're worried to get. So we're talking about today how certain toxicities hinder us as opposed to help us. Well, anything that's toxic hinders us, but certain relationships and habits hinder us. And so let's talk about how if you have the conversation, you open the line of communication, and the response is, well, I don't see an issue with the way I do things, or I don't see an issue with what I say, or it's not my fault that you feel this way, right? Like these kind of responses that are probable, that could actually occur. How do you brace yourself for that? Well, I like to think of it like this. When someone shows you their true colors, you are to believe them. You are not to give them the benefit of the doubt. If their true colors come out during times like these, that's when you take warning and say, maybe this isn't for me. So if you're telling this person or these people these things that you believe make you uncomfortable, feel mistreated, feel misused, whatever the case may be, if you're telling them this and their response is, well, it's not my fault, essentially, they're not for you. I can't stress enough, quality is far more greater than quantity. And what I mean by that is, if it's your best friend for 13 years, and you have that uncomfortable conversation, and they don't give you that response that you're looking for, or that gratefulness response, it doesn't matter if you've known them for 13 years. Their true colors are out. You see that they're not willing to change, adjust, or even when you gave them that open line of communication to give you feedback, they just kind of ignored it and went back to the fact that they have nothing to fix because they are okay the way they are. Quality is far more greater than quantity, because you can find somebody that you've only known for a week that probably treated you better than that 13-year relationship that you had with your friend or significant other. So, you don't get the response that you want. What do? Unfortunately, that'll lead to another uncomfortable conversation. Well, why do you feel that it's not your fault? Or why do you feel like you can't change? Or why don't you want to change? Should be your follow-up questions to this person or people. And if they don't give you a valid reason, and they just simply said, because I don't have to, sorry, but it's time to let go. Because that person is not for you. They aren't for the greater good of you. As humans, we grow, we adapt to change. So if someone is not willing to adapt with you, they're not for you. And if it hinders us or if it helps us, right? It's a process. You make your list. You have that uncomfortable conversation. You open the line of communication and you wait for the response. And that's all I got for you today, folks. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have not seen or listened to episode 1, please go back and listen to it. It's really good. It's about being a therapeutic friend and how you can change what looks like a negative situation into a positive situation. And I just want you guys to remember that you were created for a reason. You have a purpose in this world. Every day, I want you guys to get better at finding that purpose, focusing on that purpose, and going after that purpose. Thank you so much for tuning in on the How to Pray podcast, where we talk about overcoming pain, the obstacles of recovery, accepting our past, and yielding to our new life. I've been your host, Christina Shivers. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns about today's episode, or just any questions in general, please feel free to reach out to me to all my social medias. It's just Christina Shivers. For Twitter, it's Tina_Shivers. Remember to keep doing it for the fans. Keep hope alive because you are somebody. All right, y'all. God bless.
Pull the veil back from your eyes. You've been free for quite some time. Did you know that it's okay to care? So go out and get it now. So nervous, deep inside, so worth it. Don't give up this time. Don't back down. Don't be afraid. Tell your heart to take a leap of faith and start today.